I'm telling y'all, it is not as woo-woo juju as you think. It is literally evolving your own brain to see the unseen. Listen to the cats, because she is thinking from a population evolutionary standpoint. She's like, oh, humans as a whole haven't developed their brains, and so we need thousands of years so that humans as a whole can then have the brains that are evolved enough to access these higher levels of consciousness. But the cat is saying you as an individual human have not evolved your brain enough. Hello, 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 and welcome back to Bri Speaks podcast. I am your host, Bri Speaks, who created the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control, which are patriarchy, capitalism, corporatism, racism, ableism/ageism, speciesism, and religion. Those are the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies that put limitations on our brains, that tell us how to think, that tell us who we can be and what we should do with our lives here in the 3D, when God gave us all free will, all gave us our own unique essence, our own unique abilities, our own unique strengths and weaknesses, if you will. And we're supposed to use those however we see fit, not however some book tells us to, not however some politician tells us to, not however some parent, some cousin, some uncle, some caretaker, whomever raised you, wherever you grew up, and they told you you have to be this or else, even though the inside of you felt like, I don't really feel like this is how I'm supposed to be. We're here to delete all of those limiting beliefs, those things that we grew up in, those indoctrinations that have been put on our brains. We're getting rid of all of those here, breaking them down, deconstructing, and freeing ourselves from literally the matrix. And so today's conversation will focus on, I'm going back to speciesism, because I feel like my last one video that I did on the consciousness of animals and plants was just highly ignored, and which is why I was always afraid to add it to my chart. I was always afraid to talk about it, because I just feel like people don't take animals and their lives very seriously. And I think that's because people feel like the moment you have to care about animals, you have to stop eating meat. And as someone who is a meat eater, I'm just like, that is not true. You can care about your friends and eat them too. I know that sounds nuts. I know that sounds crazy. But all life is sustainable cycles. All life are energetic exchanges. And so as long as you are not torturing and birthing and breeding animals literally the way they did enslaved people, bred them and then made them work for their entire lives, made them suffer for their entire lives and then you killed them for money or profit or ego or whatever, you got rid of them when you were done with them. That is where the evil comes in. You know, there's a book by Daniel Quinn, one of my favorite authors. I need to get him, he needs a bookshelf, because I've read all of his books. Ishmael, My Ishmael, The Story of Bee, some of the most life-changing books I've ever read, and they go into a bunch of stuff, but one tiny aspect of it is the perspective that we should look at animals, and so it helped my understanding of the consciousness of animals and how we should treat them. So anyways, so going back into speciesism, my last video, which I will tag, I played a animal medium, or like an animal psychic, or a person who can talk to animals, or a telepathic animal talker, whatever you want to call her, named Lori on TikTok. And she had this conversation with this cat. She has conversations with cats, pretty frequently. And cats are a representation of literally the feline, of the feminine, of the internal. If you're new here, I talk about masculine and feminine as they're just polarities. They are not genders, right? So my favorite example I came up with, and I'm just like, I'm gonna use it forever probably now, is a battery. A battery has a positive side and a negative side. The positive side sticks out a little bit. That is the masculine side. The male is a representation of the masculine. They have a little thing that sticks out. And then the negative side of a battery is the within. It's the flat part. It is the feminine. It is the feline, if you will, right? And so cats they are a animal representation, an animal manifestation of the within, of the feminine energy of life. And so they have this connection to source that some animals, I feel like all animals, all beings, all life beings with life, including plants, have connection to source, but cats are a very like they're stronger. I'm just gonna say theirs is a little stronger. And so cats are wise, which is why they have black cats, are evil. Anything that this world in the United States says that is evil, that means it's probably great. And so they've demonized black cats, they've demonized old cat women, and when reality, women and felines are literally, again, representations of the spirit realm. They are manifestations of spirit in the flesh. We all are, but to a certain extent, cats and women are even more so. And so they demonize cats and old cat ladies. But I'm gonna be a cat lady one day. I'm probably gonna be a cat, and I'll probably be a vegetarian eventually. Because I don't, although my friends are tasty. I love the fact that I'm eating them. And then again, it's not that I don't mind eating them. I mind how they were treated throughout their lives. So, all that to say, today we are going over the conversation that I played in my last video talking about the consciousness of animals and how they deserve so much more respect and they deserve good, happy lives. There was this cat medium, Lori, and she talked to a cat, and there were many times, and I love Lori. I love Lori's ability to telepathically talk to animals. And again, she'll tell you that, as I always say, any psychic skill or telepathic skill or astral projecting skill, like whatever it is that you feel like you've seen people do that seems so magical, you can do it too. You just have to practice, go within, tap into source, and figure out how source talks to you. So anyways, you just have to develop your psychic powers. Good luck. But yeah, so she talks to animals, and she got this message from cats. She gets messages like this from cats all the time. And so what I'm going to do is go through that message she got from the cat, and I'm going to break it down and talk about what that cat is talking about. Because I was saying, although Lori is really gifted with talking to animals telepathically, she actually isn't like very spiritually aware or woke, in my personal opinion. And she talks to these animals and she understands the messages, but she doesn't understand what they're saying. And so I'm like, hey, I understand what the cats are saying, so why not let everyone else know as well? And so here we are today. I will play Lori's video, but I'm going to pause in between to break it down as it makes sense. So here we go.
This is another what the fuck session with a cat. And I'm gonna read you the whole thing, not the whole session, but her mom wanted me to ask her if she can see into other realms, and we were down the rabbit hole.
Of
okay,
course, cats can
and I'm
see into
literally gonna
other
read you
realms.
everything from me asking her that question. So I talked to a cat named Chloe Marie. Of course, it was a cat. She was living. So I said, your mom wants to know if you see into other realms. And she said, of course I do. Who is she kidding? I'm a cat. We all do. I can access any dimension. I can see the various ones. I can flow back and forth. I can leave my body and come back. I can do 1,000 different things humans
We all can leave our bodies and come back. Just FYI, that's what astro projecting is.
can't do. Well, you could if you knew how. I said, what do you mean if we knew how? She said, you can't harness that part of your brain, that part of you that can astral travel, that can dip between dimensions, see beyond the veil. I said, what does that mean? She said, it means you have the ability to harness your inner self, your soul, and travel through dimensions to see what is not there. Well, I take that back, to see what is there that you cannot see.
Just once. So the cat said humans can do it. So it's just not me. I'm not the only one saying this, that humans can leave their body and come back, do interdimensional travel. Like this is what the monks are doing when they go on those 40-day, 40-night retreats in the woods. Y'all think just these men are going in the woods, and I don't know what y'all think they're doing. They think they're just sitting, praying and meditating all day, which is what they are doing. But that process raises your consciousness. Like everything that exists right now all around us. We just cannot see it / don't have access to it because we are so dense. And we are dense because we don't use our minds to raise our consciousness, raise our vibrations, raise our just like level of awareness. And that creates a lower density in our bodies. Like there's energy. Everyone is energy. Everything is energy. There's energy flowing all through our bodies. And that energy gets stuck, especially in the lower chakras of fear, of safety, of like the lower chakras. Your energy cannot flow, and that is where that means you're dense. That means when you're clogged, when you have essentially traumas that are burning you. Like they always say, the body keeps the score. So you can do somatic therapy to rub out that energy that is stuck inside of you. You don't know it because people just don't think of energy as like a it's like a thing you don't think if it's not blood or like a substance that you can see and feel in your body, then it doesn't exist. And that is the problem with the Western world. It's just gonna make I'm so sick of everyone saying if I can't see it with my two eyes, then it doesn't exist. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it because we like we have so many more senses than just our five senses, like hear, touch, smell, see, taste. Like there's so much more. Like you can feel when someone is looking at you. That is a sixth sense. They call it a sixth sense, right? But it's just like there's even more than that.
See with your eyes. I said, like spirits? She said, yes, like spirits. Some advanced souls, very advanced, are able to do this in human form. A select few, and I mean a very small amount. Most humans can't, and you're really not supposed to, because that is not what life is about.
So most humans can't. He said a very small few, which I agree with, but it's only because it's because the world has these programs on them so that most people will never get to this point of being. It's not that you can't. It's not that it's even necessarily difficult. It's the same amount of difficulty as literally anything else. It's like committing to doing it and then doing it, being consistent about your meditation, being consistent about your breath work, being consistent about like going to the within, like just being consistent and truly like doing the work of learning who you are. You have to, because it's not even just about meditation. It is about raising your level of consciousness. And you will only do that by going within inside of yourself and asking yourself deep questions, facing your own shadows, facing your own demons, whatever it is that you have been afraid to look at about yourself. I feel like a great one for me, right, was where my large awakening came from was when I left my husband. It was a very, very large shadow that I had to face of like, do I need a husband? Do I want a husband? Am I happy being married? It was a very difficult pill for me to swallow to realize that I was not happy being married. And when I finally admitted that to myself, it just like it triggered my awakening. It literally triggered my awakening. And all of this energy just like rushed through me. And it was like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the biggest aha moment, but then it's also like really sad and painful and trauma. And and everyone's going to be different. There are some things that are the same, but like it is when you turn inside of you and face literally your deepest, darkest fears and demons, and a lot of them will have to do with that programming, because the patriarchy says I am a woman and I'm supposed to be married. And then again, I am a woman who enjoys intimacy with other people in general. And so I always expected myself to have some sort of long-term intimate partner forever until I had it. And then, like I said, I realized I'm just like, I don't even like this. And I was only doing it because society told me this is what I was supposed to be doing. And I did enjoy it to some extent. I will say, I won't, it wasn't me. Mary wasn't like, oh my God, it was all 100% miserable. By no means was it all miserable. But I knew deep in my heart of hearts that it wasn't for me. And I personally do feel like it's not for almost anybody, but patriarchy. So anyways,
You're supposed to be here in this realm, on this playground, living life in this space and seeing only this dimension, this timeline, this space you are in.
okay, so that was another thing. I talk about astral traveling a lot and astral projection and going into the spirit realm. And I'd always like I also warn this is once you get there and you feel it and you see it and you're like, whoa, this is so great. You have to remember to come back. You have to remember to experience like the 3D because your soul contract, your soul, your spirit energy, your dispersed, your true self, like decided to densify itself and come into the 3D as a body for a reason, to have a certain experience, to learn something, to grow in some sort of way. So you came for a reason, or else you would have just stayed. And literally our job on planet Earth is to figure out what that reason is. I know it's a silly not to say it's a silly process, but it's just like, why can't we just come to Earth and then know what we came for? But then it's like, it would ruin the game. It's like, it would literally ruin the game. You wouldn't have the same experiences if you knew what you were doing. Like, in order to awaken, you have to be asleep. So if you never go to sleep and have that awful, terrible experiences, and then you won't be able to experience growth. You won't be able to experience the awakening, and then you won't be able to then turn around and help other people wake up. So yeah, and it's I'll go. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing why it is the way it is, but it is the way it is. And so you're not, even when you can't access the spirit realm, you're not supposed to stay there. You're not supposed to get lost there. You're supposed to, go there for helps, ticks, and trips. It's like literally playing a video game. You like your character can go into like a healing shop or something like that, and then come out, and then you keep playing, you keep fighting, keep doing the battle. You don't just stay inside the healing shop all day because then you won't get nothing done. So that is why we're, oh, he said we're not supposed to go there. Like, you could go, just don't get lost.
I said, okay, are you saying that there's more than one timeline? She said, there is no time. So to say multiple timelines, it is hard to explain. And then she told me to take my dog out because he was crying. And I was like, no, like, I'm just going to try to like wait it out. And she's like, take your dog out, like, just come back. So I did.
Which I appreciate this cat, because this cat is a telepathic cat, so that cat could tell, it could feel the dog's energy, and the dog really needed to go outside, and she was gonna make that dog wait. That's miserable. That's torture. Why are y'all? It is so easy for us to disregard our animals because it's just like, oh, we think they'll be fine. It's just like, why are you making this dog suffer? Because of something you want. That's evil. And the cat was just like, bitch, go fucking take your dog out. I'll be here. You'll be here. We'll be here. But that dog is in pain. That dog is suffering. Okay.
I said, okay, so you're saying there are multiple timelines, but time isn't real. So can you explain that more? She said, everything is now, everything is happening now. So everything that is going to happen has already happened and we can access it, but you can't. I said, are you saying you can access the future? She said, it's not the future because the future is happening now. You're confused. Yeah.
Okay, I want to help here. This goes back to kind of what I was talking about earlier, which is like, it is those waves. Like everything is happening now, but you have to pick a future that you want to experience, and then you will experience that timeline. Once you collapse your observation into this is the timeline that I'm on, then you will experience that timeline. And that's how manifestation works, is if you before you make a decision, everything in the world is a possibility. But then once you choose, I want to be a doctor, your experiences, your life will start collapsing into the option that will get you to being a doctor. And so this cat, let me see.
You're confused. Yeah. She said, let me explain it this way. You have a lamp and you turn it on, then you turn it off. You've already turned it on and off a million times. You've already given it away. It just hasn't happened in this timeline yet, meaning a past and future does exist in this timeline because you can't access the past and future now like I can.
So, okay. So like I said, so if right now I said I wanted to be a ballerina, there is a future where I am a ballerina. It just, I have to pick it. I have to choose it. There's no force with source. So everyone always asks it in Christianity, like, do we have free will? The answer is F, yes, we have free will. Because I just I don't know. I think of the world and all the dimensions in it as equations, as numbers. So like, how there is an infinite amount of numbers. We can start right now and count, and we will never, and we would go on forever. That is how possibilities are. Like that is how the particle observation effect works, and that's at the lowest level. But then if you know about, again, the spirit realm, everything is just a microcosm of something else, and everything else is just a macrocosm of something else. So the particle wave theory, where it exists, like the particle exists everywhere until you observe it and you look at it and you say, this is where I'm looking, and now that's where the particle is going to be. That relationship, that energy, that experience, that property, I guess, that is a microcosm of the same property that happens at the human level, which is there is the time is a wave of infinite particles that can go anywhere and do anything, but we just have to pick the one that we want. And so that is what she is saying. And so even right now, if I pick I'm a ballerina right now, everything that happened in my past that made me come to this spot where I chose to be a ballerina is technically one timeline. But there's another timeline, obviously, where I was, born same way, same place, same mom and dad, but I chose different decisions, and those different decisions led me down a different path that could have ended in me being a ballerina, or it could have not ended in me ballerina. But that is a different time. That is a different timeline where I did choose that, or I didn't choose that, or where my life experiences from the past brought me to that decision, or didn't bring me to that decision. And so that is how it all exists. Like they all exist now. But every active decision you make is a choice that is that is changing the outcome of your equation, your life equation. But that, and again, I always bring this back to my 6 narcissistic hierarchies of control, because it's in order to control you picking that particle, the powers that be create very large negative experiences for the populations, so that they will stay on the timeline that they want us to stay on. But the moment you start picking things differently, you start choosing things differently, your brain starts activating all of the other dimensions that it has available to it. Like activating it, like not actually activating it, but like, you know what I mean? Like just like it starts allowing your brain to start looking at other dimensions once you start focusing all of your time and your attention and your energy on the dimension or the timeline that they want you to. Hope that makes sense.
And I said, because everybody's always mad that I like don't talk to these cats for longer. So like this session went way over, I'm deep diving into this.
Good.
I said, so you know what's going to happen in the future is what you're saying? And she said, I can access it. Yes. I said, okay, so can you tell me what will happen in the future? And she said, you already know, the earth will be destroyed. Now this references another session I had with a cat who was explaining how life is a playground, and
we just
like earth will be destroyed, but it's been destroyed like a ton of times already, and it was really confusing. But that's what she's referencing. I have a video about that. I said, I don't mean that future. I mean, like, I don't know, 5 years from now. She said, I can access it, yes, but I choose not to. I could, please believe I could. I can see, but humans aren't supposed to know until they can figure it out themselves.
Right. And then even with this, because of the way the universe works, when you astral travel into the future, it is the future of your timeline based on what you would choose. But as we know with like the butterfly effect, there are so many variables that can change the outcome of that future. So even if you go look at the future and you see it as one way, there is still a very real possibility that you choose something that puts you in that future differently. And so it's always a bad thing to look at the future, because then it's also going to change what you decide to do, which will change the future, and it will usually change the future into being the future that you saw, because you're either trying to avoid it and that causes it to happen, or you're trying to make it happen, and that it was going to happen anyway. So it's just like, I hate, not to say I hate looking at the future, but I just don't like it. It takes and I'd say it takes the fun out of living, but it can, which is why the cat's like, you're not supposed to access it as a human until you have done it yourself. When you do the work to access the future yourself, by the very nature of that work that you have to do, you become a safe person to hold that knowledge. And this is why all spiritual knowledge, like, in ancient times, it was always sacred or held, even like yoga, even the practice of yoga was a hidden tradition for a very long time, until someone in the white world got a hold of it and then started using it for their own monetary gain. And then they get mad, or like they don't know what to do when someone is inside their yoga class having a Kundalini awakening, because they've activated some sort of somatic energy channel that yoga is supposed to activate, but they didn't know that they were doing that, because I was just doing yoga. Yeah. So it's just like, by the very nature of you, raising your consciousness, going into love, going within, and like that process of learning the spirit world yourself, you become a safe person to hold the secret knowledge. So that is why you cannot like just go into the future for someone and then tell them, because if they are not at the level of awareness or consciousness that they need to be, they will take that information and obviously weaponize it, obviously use it wrong, because they're not in a place of love. They're not in a place of oneness. They're not in a place of stillness. They're not in a place of human centeredness. They're in a place of fear or scarcity or anxiety of like, oh, I need more, or like narcissism, or of like insecurity. Like if you give knowledge of the spirit world to someone who is not ready for it, bad things will happen. And that is, again, why we are now living in the world that we live in, because evil people got access to spiritual knowledge. And so they've been committing spiritual warfare literally against the entire planet for the last 10,000 years. All right.
I said, meaning? She said, meaning you will develop into a being that can access the past and future. You just haven't evolved to it yet. You are where you are supposed to be within the level you are at. Some people are able to access it, but it is such a minute amount, a minuscule amount, and you cannot trust it. It scares you. The paranormal, the unexplained, humans cannot handle it at this time, not at the brain level you are at.
See, I'm telling y'all, it is not about, it's like, y'all, it's just, it is not as woo-woo juju as you think. It is literally evolving your own brain to see the unseen. And you do that by, I don't want to be repetitive, so I'm gonna keep going. But I'm just saying, listen to the cats.
And I said, are you saying our brains need to evolve more before we're able to do all this stuff?
See, this is where I was just like, oh Lord, you're so not smart sometimes. Cause she is thinking from a population evolutionary standpoint. She's like, oh, humans as a whole haven't developed their brains. And so we need thousands of years so that humans as a whole can then have the brains that are evolved enough to access these higher levels of consciousness. But the cat is saying, you as an individual human have not evolved your brain enough. Not the forces of Mother Nature haven't done the evolution process, but you as a human have not evolved your consciousness, your level. He literally used the word level because levels is not a hierarchy. It is, they're planes, literal planes of existence that your brain can access and tap to. And it's not even just your brain, because your brain, your brain, okay. If you look at, and I put this in my members only recently, but if the universe is like, as a matter of fact, I'll even use this picture I use. If the universe is all of this, our brain is a faucet. This is an ugly faucet that allows our stream of consciousness to be this like very small and digestible like current, but the universe is all of this. And I'm going to Peru in about 2 weeks. I'll be going to Peru for my ayahuasca retreat. And ayahuasca is technically as classified as a psychedelic. And what psychedelics do is they get rid of the faucet so that you can then experience the universe as it is, which I'm so excited about. Where was I going with that? Yes. So she thinks that evolving your brain is evolving it. She thinks like, oh, thousands of years humans will be evolved and then they'll be telepathic. No, you have to individually evolve your brain to reach the levels of consciousness that it needs to reach in order to have access to these other worlds.
She said, I'm saying you do not have the ability to harness everything in your brain that it is capable of doing. So most of the brain lays empty, unused. It's not harnessed. It's sitting dormant. You have to evolve to figure out how to use it to its full potential. Now, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physicist. I don't know quantum mechanics. I don't know about the brain. So like if I don't know, anybody wants to chime in here. I said, I mean, can you tell me how to do that since you seem to know everything? She said, you already are in a sense because you are talking to me. You have to leave this dimension to communicate. And I said, but what do you mean? Like communication is happening in another dimension? And she
Lori. I love Lori. She's like, what a sweet lady. Yeah, she's literally talking. So this dimension, right, of this human earth dimension, I'm talking to you, you're talking to me, but she is talking to this cat through her brain. But that conversation is happening literally in a different dimension. Like it is happening in a dimension that is on top of this dimension. It is inside this dimension, like a dimension we cannot see with our two eyes, but she's accessing a different, like literally she's accessing the spirit realm, but in her conscious waking state through her brain. But it's a different dimension. You know what? Okay, wait.
Said, Google what a dimension is right now. I'll wait. So I Googled what a dimension is. I mean, I know what a dimension is, right?
No, you don't.
But I Googled it.
No, you don't.
And I was like, yeah, I still don't totally get it.
You don't.
She said communication, telepathic communication, happens on a different plane. You are accessing something higher, an overlay. Communication with beings, living in spirits, human and animal. This is accessed in another dimension. You have access to it. Obviously you do, but you had to learn how to harness it. It is overlaid directly and meshed with this one, or the dimension you're in now. And I was like, crap, I feel like I need Neil deGrasse Tyson again, because
And I'm just keep telling her, Neil deGrasse Tyson is not going to help you. He's going to tell you you're crazy, and that cat, you're not talking to cats, you're talking to yourself, and you need to go to a crazy room. That's what Neil is going to tell her, which is, again, absolutely incorrect. And this cat knows exactly what he's talking about. Like, he literally said, this is what I say all the time, that this, like, the spirit realm, which, again, like, that's just what I call it, but that word spirit realm is doing heavy lifting when it comes to, like, all the different dimensions that it's holding. But it is, all of these different dimensions are directly overlaid on top of ours, like our ability, like, so we are the collective consciousness. We are one, right? So collective consciousness is source. It's just like it is. So it's consciousness. It's just like the being, the understanding that life is air, is like, it is there, right? And then consciousness, it said, I want to exist, I want to be, right? I want to go from spirit to a thing. And so through going from consciousness, which is like the existence of everything all at once, to the densified being of human, there are many layers in between that, right? And so, but all of those layers are on top of this human existence, but we just can't see it because it's at a higher level, but not a hierarchical higher level, but I can't explain it other than like at a lower density. It's at a more dispersed density. It's like the way I said that ghosts, they talk to us through lights and things, because light is a very not dense energy, so they can touch it, they can manipulate it. Sound is a very not dense energy, is waves. It's like things that are not dense are at a higher level of consciousness because they are closer to consciousness, which is like the non-existence of any density at all. It is the existence. It's just, I just can't, in my mind, it's just like, man, explaining consciousness is hard. It's because it's like, it is the existence of existence. It is the existence of all. It is the existence of everything as one. And so when it comes down and densifies itself a little bit, that's a dimension that beings are living on, and then they get a little bit more dense, and that's a dimension that beings are living on. You get a little bit more dense, and then that's a dimension that beings are living on, and then you get even more dense, and then boom, you got humans. I'm sure there are even more dimensions between that. But so she is literally talking to this cat at a different dimension. She's using her spirit body, her spirit energy, to communicate with this cat at a less dense, at a non-dimension, like at a non-earthly level, but at a spirit level. So that is what this cat is talking about. And good for her for being able to do that, but sad she doesn't understand what she's doing.
it's like, I don't know. I mean, so many people are like, he's terrible and he doesn't believe in this stuff. But like, I need somebody, like someone.
Look at Bri Speaks.
So she said, you don't need him. She said, you don't need him. You don't need him. Time and space exists, your dimension and mine, the one where you are sitting in bed and I am sitting on a chair. But communication, telepathy, that is happening on a different vibration, a different dimension that is flush with the one you and I are in now. It's like when you lay pepperoni on a pizza. The pizza is a pepperoni pizza, but the pepperoni, in this case, telepathic communication, is laying directly on top. I don't know if this is making sense.
It does.
And I said, I mean, sort of, but like, who knows where your mom is at right now listening to this? And she said, should we conclude or do you want to continue? And I was like, I mean, is there more you want to share about this? Because like, I'm listening. She said, you are harnessing a part of your brain that can access telepathic communication in a dimension overlapping your own, our own, as I am in it with you. Everyone has this ability. They just haven't harnessed it, like time travel, the instant movement. And I was like, okay, what do you mean by instant movement? Because like, I feel like I'm in like a science fiction like movie.
And this is what it looks like to have a limited mind. This is what it looks like to have a limited mind. When your mind is in a box, it can't take in information that the box is just not used to seeing or having. And if like that, but if you've only seen these things in science fiction movies or like you've never experienced it yourself, you're just gonna be like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Instant travel.
She said, I mean, you think of a place and you are there. And I said, but that's impossible.
So she's saying it is impossible for our physical 3D bodies to transport there, but our soul, our dispersed ethereal less dense being, it can go anywhere it wants to at any point in time. So a good example, and it's very easy to do with, well, not easy, right? But it is easier to do, I think, with when you're okay, in my personal experience, it's easier to do when you are like going into someone else's mind if they're already there. Like remote viewing is literally what it's called. I think remote viewing is easier than astral projection in and of itself. So if I have if like so and this I've done this before with my little sister, if she goes somewhere and she's there and she's like, out looking at the thing, I can close my eyes, tap into my third eye and then visualize, like it takes a few minutes for it to turn on, rev up, and walk and listen. But I can start channeling my sister's like vision, and then I can see what she sees, and then I could draw you a picture of whatever it is she's looking at right now. She's like and this is a little bit intrusive, I will say, so you shouldn't do it, everybody, and it don't, and it's easier to do with people you are more energetically connected to anyway, so that's why it's easy to do with my sister. But if I wanted to go like, look at what Lori was looking at right now, I don't know, it would be harder for me to do, but not impossible. But yeah, I was saying she is at her computer. I can see her monitor, and I can't really see what she's doing. She's looking at maybe a video, a person. What is that? And so whenever it shows up, it doesn't show up as like a perfectly clear image the way that like it would show up on television. For different people, it'll show up in different ways at different like it'll show up. Everyone's like psychic abilities essentially will manifest differently depending on who you are and your spirit energy. So mine's like I can see out my third eye. Like when I close my eyes, like I can see see right here like stuff. But for someone else it might look different. So my sister is so interesting. Whenever I'm getting like a download or something, I can feel it in my spirit. But it's so interesting. I was talking to my sister about it, and she was saying whenever she feels her downloads, her third eye will literally tingle, like her physical body, this area will like tingle. And I was just like, so that was just that I thought, because I hadn't really talked to other people who have these experiences and abilities, that everyone would feel it the way that I felt it, like feel it through their spirit, their soul, their energetic soul body. But turns out, you can feel your psychic powers working in different ways depending on who you are. So that's also just something to think about, And let's see, I'm gonna see if this works, but I'm gonna call my little sister and I'm gonna see what she's doing right now, because I want to see if I was accurate.
Yes.
Hey, little sister, what you doing?
Uploading a couple of YouTube.
So you're sitting at your desk on your computer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was just, recording a video, and I was telling my followers that so I was watching, anyways, that there's a difference between remote viewing through someone else's brain and then remote viewing, just like your spirit body going to a different place and like seeing the scenery itself. And I was saying how it's easier for me personally as of right now to remote view, especially through people who are very close to me. And then I was like my little sister, and then I remote remote viewed into your brain. I was like, she's at her computer. And I literally was thinking, I was like, I feel like she's probably editing some video, but I wasn't sure. So I was like, I could see you looking at like a big monitor. It wasn't like a phone monitor. And then I could see like a person on like the middle of your screen. I was like, it's probably you, but I was just like, I wasn't sure. Yep, there you go. See, there it is. So I was just like, hey, thank you. There, haha. So I was just telling my followers, like, anyone could do it. You just have to, work on it and do everything. So I was like, I could say that I'm doing that. It is, yeah. I remote view through your brain a couple of times. Hey, what I told people, don't do it to just any old body. Don't be intrusive. Don't be rude. But yeah. So I was like, oh, I said that, but I was like, oh, how will they ever know if I'm right? And I was like, how do I know if I'm right? And I was like, okay, well, let's call her and see. And then and boom, spot on, correct. So thank you for that affirmation. Yep. There it is. All right. Well, love you. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, no problem.
Yep. So it's easier to for me personally to remote view through my little sister brain. But again, anyone can do it. It's just like, to say it's not hard, but it's like once you do the work and you put in your reps and you know how your spiritual energy like shows up in the physical, it's like, not to say so easy, but it's just like it's just, this is what everyone should be doing. Because, and here's my thing, when people are connected to the within, when they're connected to their spirit, they cannot be easily manipulated. They cannot be moved. They cannot be shaken. They cannot be taken advantage of. They cannot be made to suffer if they are connected to and rooted to their own like spiritual being and understanding. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. Because like I didn't know how to do that, 2 years ago, but I can do it now. But it's just like you just got to do the work. All right, let's finish up.
Can't just move our bodies instantly to a completely different area. We have to walk or fly. We have to be transported by something, being our legs or something we are in to move us. She said, no, you have the ability of instant travel. You just don't know how to do it. That part of your brain hasn't evolved, hasn't learned or even discovered that this is something that is possible. You will. And I was like, I mean, not soon. And she said, oh, no, not soon.
No,
not soon at all.
Takes
it will
years.
take a long
years.
time. It's
But
possible.
you got to start. Right. And so you just saw, like when you're in body, so like when I'm experiencing the 3D, I can't do that. I can't do that. But you saw whenever I was trying to, remote view through my sister, you got to close your eyes. You got to go within and you got to activate your third eyeball, pineal gland, whatever they want to call it. But so like I can't remote view with my eyes open because I'm taking in stimulus from the external world. So I have to close my eyes whenever I'm doing any sort of like spirit work, because that is how I feel like it's how most people work. I don't know. I want to say that's how I work, but I'm just like, nah, that's how it works. That's how it works. You just you have to unplug from your body in order to go to the within, and you have to do it a lot. And you got to do it for years. Well, not even just for years, because again, the first, if I say the journey from non-spiritual understanding being to I can now look through my sister's brain, if I say that was 2 years of like, that was my intention, and even then it's just like, even what's that mindset? My intention was just to increase my psychic powers. I didn't know how that was going to show up, but I knew that if I meditated, if I did introspection, and I looked up awakening stuff, like I don't know, I've always been called to, because again, if you go through astrology, my Saturn, which is the planet of structure, of the energy of like structure, of hierarchy, of the masculine and physical. It's like Saturn, if whatever your planet Saturn is this planet of structure. And my Saturn is in Pisces. And so my structure energy is going to be giving structure to the ethereal, giving structure to the unseen, giving structure to things that have no boundaries, no limits. Like this is what I'm doing right now, giving structure to the spirit world. This is my job. This is literally my job from the spirit world, is to give people structure to things that are unseen, things that are ungraspable. So I've been doing this for so raising my consciousness, I feel like, is one kind of part of the journey. And then the second part is like tapping into your spirit powers and tapping into source consciousness to be able to experience what other parts of the consciousness are experiencing. So doing the inner work is first, y'all. That's the thing. It's like you have to integrate your shadow. You got to learn your demons. You got to figure out who you are and who you are without any chains on your brain, without Christianity, without racism, without capitalism, without patriarchy, without all these things giving you value systems to attain towards. Who are you without any of that? Who are you if no one, when no one is watching? And then what do you hate about yourself? And what do you dislike about yourself? And why do you dislike it? And why do you hate it? And then figuring out how to integrate that part of yourself that you dislike into your being. Like I used to be like the biggest people pleaser in the whole wide world. And I really dislike being mean to people. And that's my big Cancer energy. But, so my shadow self was my mean self. My shadow self was like not being nice to people. Like my shadow self was being rude. Like I just did not like, and I still don't like, honestly, being mean to people was never my first default, because I want to end all unnecessary suffering. But I had to integrate into myself that it's okay to be mean sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to like set boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to like hurt someone else's feelings if it means saving yourself. Like, it's just like, I had to learn that I'm not responsible for taking on the weight of the entire world, even though I still am kind of doing that. But I'm not responsible for taking on the weight of other people's feelings and emotions at the expense of myself, at the expense of my own well-being, at the expense of my own spiritual health. And even if that meant being mean, what I would call being mean to someone, that was like a shadow that I had to integrate. And now, I wouldn't say I have no problem telling someone to shut the fuck up and leave me alone, but but it's like, if I can do what needs to be done. And I am now, like, it used to be, someone like Donald Trump, I'll be like, no, let's try to rehabilitate him. Like, no, it's like everyone deserves forgiveness. Like, no. And now Bri is like, some people deserve forgiveness and some people deserve to be put feet first into a wood chipper. And yeah, so I can say that now happily and proudly. That's why I say I hate white people. I'm just like, I say I hate men. Like, I hate all these people, and I'm just like so proud of myself for learning how to hate. And I still feel like I can hate harder, but like I said in my video where I took my trip back to Ghana, I feel like my ancestors, my personal spirit guide, my personal spirit energy, it doesn't want me to hate people. And I'm just like, what do you want from me? You want me to integrate the shadow, or you don't want me to integrate the shadow? You want me to hate people, or you don't want me to hate people? Anyways, that's something I'm still working on within myself. Still got some shadows to integrate. But largely, I love all of me. I love that is like the first, remember I said the first half is like doing the work on yourself, and then the second half is increasing your spirit powers. The first half is that self-work. That self-work is learning how to love yourself fully and wholly as you are. Like every wrinkle, every kink in your hair, every wrinkle in your face, like every gray hair if you get any grays, like every roll if you got a little extra love. If your skin is darker or lighter, if your eyes are darker or lighter, if your hair is longer or shorter, if you're hairy or not hairy, like muscly or not muscly, whatever, tall or short, whatever it is that you feel insecure about, you have to learn how to love that part of you deeply and fiercely, not just say it, and fake it till you make it do work, because that is a way of shifting your vibration into the vibration that you want to be in. So even if you do hate yourself or hate how you look or whatever, just go into the mirror every day and say, no, I love me. I love my rolls. I love my tummy. I love my fupa. I love my slenderness. I love my whatever it is. Keep saying you love it until you do. And then, or just actually talk to yourself about why you dislike it. Where did this disdain for a little extra weight come from, or a little darker skin, or kink your hair? Like, where did that hatred of self come from? And then deconstruct that. That is the better way. But if you need to, reverse engineer and just start saying, I love me, I love me, I love this, until it actually kicks in and you actually get there, you actually catch up with your words, that's another way. But you'll never get to I can psychic ability, remote travel, instant travel, until you love yourself. This is how it'll go.
And I was like, so are we monkeys? Like, are we just not evolved beings?
No, you're not.
She said, you are where you are supposed to be at this time, here on Earth, as it exists now. The playground you are aware of. The playground evolves, and so do the things on it, but slowly over a vast amount of time. And I said, but time doesn't exist, because they all tell me that. She said it exists here.
Yes. Okay. This is time is really the hardest one to explain. I see it like this. The spirit realm, right? Is this aha. I gotta pull out my whiteboard. Yeah. I have retired my whiteboard for a little bit because I just felt like on YouTube, it's better to like clip videos and put them in and do all these animations, and that's what people want to see. And I'm sure it is what people want to see, but it's not my specialty. I'm not an animator. Like, y'all are lucky. Y'all are not y'all are lucky, but the what I've been giving you guys is more than what I know, more than what I've got. So you're gonna get this whiteboard. So I see, okay, so oneness, or like, I need better markers. So if oneness or Christ consciousness, right, is this oneness, this is consciousness, just like the existence of all things that are, all energies that are, and all timelines and all dimensions is just like this big, just I wouldn't even, like, it's like I don't even want to call it like because again, like the amount of dimensions that this thing has is manyfold. We are 3D dimensions. This thing has an infinite amount of dimensions. Is that okay? So anyways, so this is oneness. This is all energy. This is all life. This is consciousness. And so all things exist in this moment, but consciousness can cut off a little, can expel like a little piece of itself here. And so this one little piece of consciousness will then expand into its own timeline. So all of this whole timeline, here I'll put arrows because, arrows in math mean they keep extending forever. But so all consciousness has all experiences at all time, all at once. But to experience any part of this, it has to separate itself. And so this is where separation comes from. We are all this, but they separate, become the masculine and the feminine. So if this is oneness and all of consciousness, it has to separate out different parts of itself to experience this timeline. So like, and again, this happens at different levels. So while this is all of consciousness can separate itself out to be, just one person. This is Bri, right? Now this is Bri, and now Bri will experience this timeline, her own timeline. But also, because Bri is a representation of consciousness, I also can, again, by choosing different things throughout this timeline life, I can make it to this timeline, or I can be in this timeline, or I can do this timeline. But all of this is coming from consciousness, but I am just experiencing it as myself, as a separate piece of consciousness. And this is all going back to consciousness. So consciousness is also, all of us are also experiencing the same thing. And so this is how, whenever I go to back to the within, I can then see, and if my little sister, let's say she's over here experiencing her timeline, but I can tap into consciousness and say, hey, what's my little sister doing? And then I can understand what's happening in her timeline by tapping into consciousness. I'm not necessarily going to my sister, but I'm going to consciousness, and everyone is connected to consciousness. And so I can go in here and then focus all of my energy onto my sister, and then I can then experience what my sister is experiencing through her consciousness, through her piece of consciousness. But also because all of consciousness is all consciousness. If Paris is this, like in this same timeline, right? Or my timeline was here. In my same timeline, Paris is here. But again, Paris is still a part of consciousness. I can remote view and tap into consciousness and then see Paris over. Here's my little Eiffel Tower. That's an ugly Eiffel Tower. So, and then I can see the Eiffel Tower. So I can go to France right now if I so choose to. But I don't want to. So I would much rather go in the physical. I would rather go in the physical so that I can have the experiences of Paris in the physical and not in the spiritual. Because like, yeah, you can see it, but you won't have the same experience of actually being there. That's why it's not the same as going and watching a YouTube video on Paris and then as it is actually being in Paris. All right. So that is how everything can exist now. At the same time, everything exists in consciousness, but at the same time, you can separate from consciousness and then create your own timeline. And then then you will literally experience time. But going back into consciousness, you will not experience time.
Just not there. There is a timeline here, just not there. And here isn't real, but this is enough for today. It has become too complicated, and I have shared enough. And then she was like, one of my other cat friends can like discuss this with you more, but I'm done. So the session went like totally over.
All right. So that is today's episode on telepathic cat talk. I hope that helped people understand how, like, again, what I call the spirit realm, but like interdimension, other dimensions like wholeness, consciousness, Christ consciousness, oneness, whatever you want to call it, how it works, and how we can all talk to each other telepathically, how we can see what other people are doing, how we can read minds, if we will. And you can put up some, I don't know, I'm sure you can put up mental blockers. You've got to stop people from checking in on your brain, but I haven't learned that. I've only learned how to go into people's brains. I haven't learned how to have people not go into my brain. Who knows who's in my brain right now? But yeah, so that is that. I hope that was helpful. I hope that explained something. And if you do feel like you liked it, please like, subscribe, share. I've been hearing about hyping smaller creators. That helps their videos grow. So if you feel like I am helping the collective consciousness and you want to also help the collective consciousness and you want to share and you want to teach people and give people different perspectives on how they can live their life here in the 3D, please do like, share, subscribe, hype this video. And then if you want to support me more personally, you can do that by either donating to my Cash App at Bri Speaks 2. Bri Speaks the number 2, BRISPEAKS 2. Or you could join my members only. I have 2 tiers. There's Woke and Woke AF. Woke is you'll get early access to all of these videos that come out on Monday mornings. And then you'll also have access to discounts and discount codes. I have revamped my store, brispeaks.co. So also if you want to support, you can go to brispeaks.co and buy anything on that website. Episode ago, I said I want to create some mugs with my 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control on them. And because like what a crazy discussion starter, am I right? And so I have put those up. If you would like to go buy a mug here, I can even show you my mugs. Okay, introducing my newly launched website, brispeaks.co. This website is it's a labor of love. This picture actually I took when I was you can't really tell, but there's a microphone here. And I was speaking in front of I think it was at least 600, 700 people. This was a conference, a healthcare conference at my job, and I was talking about myself and who I am and my kiddo. Here's my kid. I never really show him, but he was a baby, and I told you guys I graduated from college when my kid he was 4, and he was 3 months when I started my college journey as a young teen mom, and so this was me graduating from college with my 4-year-old boy on my hip, and it was a wonderful, wonderful day. So anyway, so that's the picture here. It's just me being a speaker, doing some speaking stuff. And then created for the collective. This is the mug. I'm so proud of this mug. I have ordered my own, and I don't have it here. And I actually told myself I wasn't going to show this until I got my first mug, so that I know what I was ensuring that my product was good. But I'm so excited, and I'm just like, I hope that everything is going well and coming out very good. So if you want a mug that has the 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control on it, you should get one. And then also, and the other side has my it's got my logo on there. So you'll get a wonderful discussion starting mug. Like y'all, if someone sees this mug, they're like, oh my God, what are the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control? And then you're like, oh, have a seat. You say, oh, have a seat. Let's have a chat. And then you can talk to them about it. So and then you can go listen to Bri Speaks on YouTube, and she talks all about it. So that is that. So if you want to support, you can also go buy a mug. Or I also have what is it? I also, so you can go to shop, and so you can buy the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies. You can just buy the PDF all by itself. I also have this copper vacuum insulated bottle here if you want to have it on a bottle, insulated bottle that holds heat very well. And then there's also these little wine tumblers. If you like wine tumblers, hey, I like wine. So, and then some of my favorite videos that I feel like everyone should watch on my channel. These are my favorite videos that I put out, but the ones that, like this one, if you have not watched this one, this one, I'm sad at how little views it got, but I'm just like, and it always happens that way on social media. The stuff that you feel like is the most important, and also like this one. So I talked about like awakenings and stuff. I like this one. I have examples. I've got videos. I've got definitions. Like great video, but whatever. The best videos that you do are the ones that YouTube doesn't want people to watch, because this one talks about how people should stop watching TV and using their phones and stuff. So of course YouTube is not going to push this video out. But anywho's, that's my new website. So if you want to support, you can always go buy stuff off of there. Yeah, and I think that is all. You can also follow me on TikTok at Bri Speaks on TikTok. So thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys next time. The God in me loves the God in you. And always remember, please, please, please stay woke. Bye-bye.